Hi folks, I'm just gonna jump right in today. I assume that you know how to log into RStudio Cloud and find the space for our class, and that you know how to get into the project for our labs. So when you get into the project, you might find that you have a bunch of documents open. I like to close all so that they're all closed out, and I usually click the broom icon to clean up my environment. And then we're gonna want to go find the prelab for this week. This week it is the categorical variables prelab. So you would find that in the prelabs folder, and then it's called categorical variables prelab. And if you open this up, it's an RMarkdown document like we've seen in the past. The first thing that you would need to do is load your package for the course, so library parentheses mosaic, and then hit the play button to run that code. And it's possible that you already have my example data loaded in, but I cleaned mine up, so I'm going to load it in again. I'm going to delete this comment, and I'm going to say GSS, the assignment operator, the less than, and then a hyphen or a dash, and then read.csv parentheses, quotation marks, and then hit tab to find the data folder, and then tab again to get that GSS clean, and I'll click play, and I'll get that data in my environment. So hopefully all of that was review. If not, you could go back to one of my previous videos and watch me go through it more slowly. But the focus of the lab this week is about categorical variables. So categorical variables are variables that describe a set of categories. So if you were thinking about year in school, the categories might be first year, sophomore, junior, senior. If you were thinking about eye colors, they might be green, blue, brown, hazel, things like that. And categorical variables are usually set up in contrast to numeric or quantitative variables. So one thing that would be good to do is to figure out what variables in my example dataset are categorical and how we could tell that. So I could go click on my dataset and get it to pop up. And the things that are going to be categorical are the ones that don't look like numbers. So things like college major 1 and college major 2, those are going to be categorical. So is this variable diploma, GED, or other, and this respondent's sex variable. So I can just sort of look at them. So variables like college major, diploma, or GED, sex, those are categorical variables. And one way we can tell by looking at them. And if you go over to your environment and click this blue triangle, it will sort of expand out the data and give you a little summary. And if you have a numeric variable like highest year of school completed, it'll say int for integer, or sometimes it says, I think, let's see if we can find one that is not in. Oh, nope, I don't have any in this data set. Sometimes it'll say like num if it's not just a round number like 14, 10, 16. But then CHR means character. And so college major is a character, diploma or GED is a character. So that's a hint that this is a categorical variable. One thing that's interesting is that number of children and age of respondent both say CHR, even though they kind of looked numeric when we clicked on them here. And we could sort this column by clicking the up and down arrows. Just see. Okay, so the reason why this one is categorical, even though it has things like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, then it has, in quotes, 8 or more. And so in order to make this into a variable, R has chosen to make the whole thing kind of categorical. And the same thing, I think, with age of respondent. Lowest is 18, and then I think it goes up by integers. But if I sort it this other way, there's a category called 89 or older, which is why R is thinking of it as categorical. So we can tell by looking at them, and also because they say CHR in the environment. So that's another way to tell. So today we're going to be doing exploratory data analysis for categorical variables. That means we're going to be doing data visualization and summary statistics. And if we think about data visualization, there's kind of two main ways to visualize a single categorical variable. One would be a bar chart, and the other one would be a pie chart. Statisticians have like weird sort of biases against pie charts. They don't like them, and so it's pretty hard to make a pie chart in R. It's possible, but I'm not going to talk about it in this class. So we're going to focus on bar charts because those are easy to make in R. And so we are going to be using these functions from R that start with GF and an underscore. And that stands for graphics formula. And then the underscore, and then after that, we're going to have the name of the plot type that we want. So we're starting this week by making bar charts. So we're going to use GF underscore bar. And that function is going to take a formula as its first argument. So I think probably both formula and argument are new terms for you. So let's talk about both of them. So an argument to a function, it's something that you put inside the parentheses. So if we were thinking about the algebra function, f parentheses x, f of x, then the function is f and the argument is x. And if you were using R like a big calculator, you could do SQRT parentheses 100 and hit enter, square root of 100, and the argument would be 100, and the function is SQRT, square root. So the function that we're going to use in this case is GF underscore bar, and then the argument, the stuff that goes inside the parentheses, is going to have to be a formula. And a formula is this kind of idea from R, and it goes like this. It has a Y, and then it has a tilde, which is like a little squiggly line. On my keyboard, it's above the tab key. And so it goes Y tilde X. So Y is our response variable. It's the thing that we think might respond. Then there's the tilde, and then there's the explanatory variable or variables. So that's how it's going to work for most of the class. Right now, we're only going to have one variable. And if you only have one variable, then you don't give a Y, you just do a tilde and then the X variable. So if we wanted to put that all together for the GF bar function, I would type GF underscore bar and then parentheses because it's the GF bar function. And I start off with a tilde. So again, that's above my tab key on my keyboard. Then I give it the name of the variable that I want to make a bar chart of. And in this case, I was interested in marital status, which is a categorical variable. It has categories like never married, separated, married, divorced. I guess we'll see what they all are in a second. So tilde marital status, comma, and then you have to tell R where to look for that variable marital type. And marital type is coming from the data set GSS. So I'm going to put comma data is equal to GSS. If I click the play button here, then I get this nice bar chart. Maybe I will make this window a little bit bigger. So I can see that the most common category is married. There's about 1,000 people in my data set who said that their marital status is married. I've also got quite a few people who are divorced and never married, very few that are separated, and some that are widowed. And then some people put NA, it was not applicable or no answer. So that's how the GF bar function works. You need to give it the formula and then the data set. So what I'd like you to do right now is pause the video and try to make your own bar chart of the labor force status variable. which is also in my GSS dataset, and it's things like temporarily not working, retired, working full-time. So maybe pause the video and try it out and then come back. Okay, did you get it? I'm gonna try it out. So I'm gonna delete this comment that says write code here, and I'm gonna type gf_bar parentheses. And I only have one variable, so I'm going to start with a tilde. I'm going to hold down the shift key and then it's up by the tab. So tilde. And then it was labor underscore force underscore status was the name of my variable, comma, data, and then an equal sign GSS. And now let's see what happens when I click the play button. And there's my bar chart. So it's got, looks like the most common category. It's a little bit hard to read because the labels are overlapping, but it says working full-time. That kind of makes sense. Most people work full-time. It looks like the next most common category is retired. Okay, so that was a bar chart for one categorical variable. What if we want to visualize the relationship between two categorical variables? Well, one way to do that would be to make a bar chart where we're going to fill in the bars based on another variable. So if we wanted to do this, we can type gf_bar parentheses tilde marital status. We're going to make a bar chart where the bars are marital status, and then we're going to fill. And the fill is going to be equal to tilde born in US. So born in US is a variable, a categorical variable that just has the options yes and no. And again, my data is GSS. So I'm going to click play here. And now what R has done is it's made a bar chart. The heights of those bars are the number of people in that category. So remember, married was the most common category with about 1,000 people in that category. But then the colors of the bars represent whether the people in that category were born in the US or not. So it looks like the majority of people in all these categories were born in the United States. That makes sense. Immigrants are a smaller percentage of our population. And it looks like maybe more people who were not born in the US are married than other marital statuses. So that is the segmented or stacked bar chart. The other thing that we could do here is we could add another argument to our function. So leave it all the same, gf_bar, parentheses, tilde marital status, comma, fill equal tilde born in US, comma, data equal GSS, comma, and then the new thing is position equal dodge. And that'll make the bars dodge away from one another. So let me hit the play button here. So now instead of being stacked up on top of one another, they're sort of side by side. So that's a side-by-side bar chart. Shows you a very similar thing. So now I'd like you, again, pause the video and see if you can figure out how to make a bar chart that shows the relationship between the variable government or private employee and self-emp or works for somebody variables. You can choose how you want to do it, but pause the video and see if you can figure it out. Okay, I'll do it. So I'm gonna delete that comment. I'm gonna use a gf_bar, parentheses, tilde, and then I could pick either of these variables. I'll just do govt_or_private_employee. One of the annoying things about R is you have to get everything spelled just right. So we've got that tilde, then I've got fill is equal to tilde self_emp_or_works_for_somebody, comma, data is equal to GSS. So that's the name of my data set. Then let's look at that relationship. Okay, so it looks like most people are private or employees of private companies. A smaller proportion work for the government. And most people work for an employer that is not themselves. There's a few people who are self-employed. Some people work for someone, or most people work for someone else. So we can see that the majority of people who are employees of private companies work for someone else. Some of them work for their own self-employment. And then I'm not really sure, I feel like this little red bar in the government bar is maybe a mistake, because I don't know how you could be self-employed but also work for the government. Maybe some type of contractor or something. And we've got some NA values as well. So that was some data visualization for categorical variables.